Hi there, Ajay. Let's take a look at this set of essays you've written for us. The first one is Albion. Let's see what happened here. All right, first of all, you don't need to put a date. You don't need to put where you're writing from. Just start your letter, dear whoever, okay? So just remove this in the future. I'm writing this letter as an apology for not informing the university about my leave of absence from... my leave of absence. It's not really a leave of absence. It's just about my absence from the examination. I would like to introduce myself first. Name, AJ, student number this, case number this. All right, so there's some awkwardness here. I don't think it's appropriate for you just to refer to yourself by your first name. It's certainly not formal. So you should have included your last name as well. I also am not a huge fan of a couple of things here. I'm not a fan of this colon because it's not really a proper sentence, if you know what I mean. And then the punctuation here is also awkward. So I would like to introduce myself first, and then you could have put a colon here and then say, my name is AJ, your last name. My student number is this and my case number is this. So really just something to provide a full sentence. Last week, which was our examination week, I suddenly caught a fever, get rid of up with, and had to be hospitalized due to my high temperature. It was all of a sudden that I could not inform the this is a little awkward as well. So it was so sudden that I, capital I, could not inform the examination committee about my illness. As for the proof, as far as the proof is concerned, so this is the wrong expression here, I can submit my discharge summary from hospital to the committee so that you can consider this as an emergency situation. I think you can give me an opportunity to rewrite and examine this week or allow me to write this paper next semester so that I would not affect my grades. All right, let's fix this sentence as well. I think is not appropriate here. All right, so instead you should change it to something else like, I would like an opportunity to re-sit the exam this week, or to write this paper next semester so that my grades would not be affected. So as you can see, the whole sentence has to be rewritten. Please consider these possible resolutions, and if you have any better options, then please guide me so that I can prepare for it. All right, I like it, but that's still a little awkward, so let's change that as well. Please consider these resolutions. This, if you have any better options, it's not really the best thing to say to an examination committee. So let's think about what else you could have said. Please consider these possible resolutions, and I welcome any other suggestions that you may have. All right, that would have been a nice sentence too. Then, regards is inappropriate because you don't know the name of the person you're writing to. And it's a formal letter. You have to end the letter with yours faithfully, comma, and then again, I would have liked your full name here. It's a formal letter, so we're not, talking amongst friends. You have to write your full name out. All right, so there were quite a few things that I had to change here. As far as the content goes, it was fine. So the task achievement portion of the letter is appropriate. I guess coherence or cohesion is fine. The grammar is what is most problematic for me, I would have to say, and probably lexical resource as well. All right, so let's take a look at your task 2. All right, here it is. It's about local food. Let's see what you said. Experts throughout the developing and developed world have debated whether foods should not be consumed locally. That's inappropriate. Let's change it around. Have debated whether only local foods should be consumed. What are you trying to say here? Let me read it again. Experts throughout the developing and developed world have debated whether foods only should be consumed locally or exported to other places for consuming and selling. that's not, I think, what they're trying to say, actually. In other words, they're not concerned whether the food from our area goes to other places, but they're concerned about us preferring food from other places over our locally produced food. So you've got the one part of it correct, but you've got the other part wrong. It's an issue of whether we're eating our locally produced foods or if we're getting foods from far away. So I would have changed that around a little bit. I would have changed this sentence, okay? Some believe that it should be only it should only be used. Now, only is one of those words that's really, really interesting. Depending on where you place it in a sentence, you change the entire meaning of the sentence. So I would like to see you review some of these rules about only and how to use it. So, some believe that it should only be used within the communities. However, you need some sort of contrast here. Personally, I strongly disagree. This essay will argue both sides of the arguments, using examples from the UK government and Oxford University to demonstrate points and prove arguments. Okay? Arguments. I would have preferred a different word here. You could have said both sides of the issue. On the one hand, there is ample evidence that consuming food locally has more benefits to the economy and environment. The central reason behind this is twofold. Firstly, farmers need not worry about exporting their stock, and foods are utilized optimally. Right? What does that mean? When you have a main idea like that, please back it up directly after the statement. Secondly, less wastage of food. Secondly, there is less wastage of food as there is less scope for logistics in terms of distribution of food and people eating fresh food, which helps them to stay healthy. For example, recent empirical research by the UK government demonstrated that 70% of all food produced is consumed by local residents. It must not be forgotten that although the foods are exported, okay, there are multiple errors here. Basically, the grammar is wrong and the punctuation is wrong. So I have to reread it again and try to fix it. So it must not be forgotten that although foods are exported, a certain percentage of them are disposed of as they become foul. Therefore, it is conclusively clear that foods are served better if they are sold to a local crowd. I don't really like that word, local crowd. It sounds a little informal. So, to the local population. Again, you focused on our food going elsewhere. I think the idea of this essay is more general or about getting food from elsewhere. But that's neither here nor there right now. Let's keep going and see what you said. On the other hand, although there is a case for food to be used within the society, the impact of foreign foods cannot be overstated. This is largely because, no comma here, people can get bored with, people can get bored of, that's fine, having the same food, and these outside foods can help them to explore more tastes and recipes. For example, an extensive study by Oxford University showed that over 90% of people like to have a variety of foods at least twice a week. No in. Consistent with this line of thinking, it is difficult to produce different crops in the same area. Thus, it's possible. I wish you would have said something more about that. I didn't understand it fully, so it needed some more illustration. Thus, it's possible to state beyond doubt that importing foods has become a necessity of modern life. From the arguments and examples given, I firmly believe that foods should be exported as well as imported based on our needs, and we should not restrict ourselves in trying varieties of foods. It is predicted that, no comma, the role of these foreign foods impacting human health will increasingly grow in importance. Okay, so I think I've talked pretty extensively about the grammar and the word order and the syntax of these sentences. So what I really want to talk about right now is the topic development of this essay. Let's look again at what you were asked to talk about here. It would be better for the environment and economy if people ate only local food. So where did you talk about that? You mentioned it here, okay? But I see absolutely nothing about the environment. Nothing. Also, where are you talking here about economy? So you talk about, this was the paragraph that I already told you felt a little off to me because you were talking about our food moving elsewhere, our food being taken away to distant locations. But there's nothing about the economy or the environment here, really. I mean, there's no development about that. You're talking about the food becoming foul, and that's it. And food waste, but that's not directly talking about the economy or the environment. So you really need to focus on that more. Let's see. And then again, here you're supposed to talk about the environment and the economy, and I didn't see that. You start talking about the variety of foods. So that's not helpful as well. So essentially, while you're talking about food and you're talking about local food versus food that is not local, you're not actually answering the question. So it feels like it's an off-topic response. That's going to cost you in terms of your task achievement, okay? So those are the two areas of this essay that I feel have weaknesses, your task achievement and your grammatical range and accuracy. So that's what I want you to really, really focus on when you correct these essays. So go ahead and do that now. Correct them, return them back to us corrected, add to your error correction list, and let's see what you write in your next set of essays. I want you to focus on the question more closely in this next set of essays. Make sure that you, when you develop your answer, that you are actually answering the aspect that they have asked you to talk about. Okay? Good luck with that, and I'll be looking forward to seeing your next set of essays.